In Northern Ireland, history bites. The past is raw and bloody and punches through to the present. Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, but at least some of what happens here is quite different to what goes on the mainland. For example, look at this. It's the preparations for a bloody good bonfire to celebrate the victory of a Protestant king against a Catholic king in the 17th century. Theresa May's government cannot survive long without the support of 10 MPs from the Democratic Unionist Party. The DUP was founded by the late Reverend Ian Paisley in 1971, when both sides of the sectarian divide reached for their guns. This was the IRA, and this, the late Martin McGuinness, once their Chief of Staff, and much later, Northern Ireland's Deputy First Minister. And this was Gregory Campbell with his legally held revolver. Today, he's one of the DUP's 10 MPs.
You either be killed by them or kill them. Now, I know the option I want. I want to see them dead.
But that was then, and this is now. Sam McBride reports for the main loyalist newspaper in Northern Ireland.
There is no sense that the DUP is anywhere near as closely aligned to loyalist paramilitarism as Sinn Féin would have been to the IRA. I think the relationship between the DUP and loyalist paramilitaries, or those who are very close to loyalist paramilitaries, is much more complex.
Both sides have spilt blood, but because Number 10 needs the DUP, the spotlight is fiercely on the loyalist paramilitaries, in particular the Ulster Defence Association, the UDA, banned in '92, but still very much in business. The troubles are over, but the killing is not ancient history. Late last month, a man called Colin Horner, who people said was an activist in the UDA, took his little boy shopping in the Sainsbury's behind me. Shopping done, little boy's in the car, when a man comes up to Horner and shoots him dead. Now, it's believed this is an internal power struggle in the UDA. A few days later, Arlene Foster, the leader of the DUP, meets Jackie MacDonald, who many people believe is the effective leader of the UDA in Northern Ireland. So, at its most charitable, this does not look good for the DUP or the people they're negotiating with, the British government. Arlene Foster was at her feisty best when tackled about the paramilitaries during the election.
We condemn utterly the murder that occurred on Sunday, such a horrific murder in front of a child who will never be able to get over that. That will stay with that child for the rest of his young life. Just to be clear, that the UDA, the UVF and every paramilitary organisation should be out of existence.
Did you say that to Jackie MacDonald yesterday when you met him?
I had no need to say it to Jackie MacDonald, but Jackie MacDonald knows my views very, very clearly. If people want to move away from criminality, from terrorism, we will help them to do that. But anyone who is engaged in this sort of activity should stop, should desist, and if they don't, they should be open to the full rigour of the law.
Alistair Ross was a DUP minister in the Northern Irish Assembly until last month.
Well, I can understand why that perceptually looked pretty bad, but of course, many politicians in all parties are working with people in difficult to reach communities. And actually, most of the last 10 years has been a criticism of politicians for not engaging with people and trying to move them away from their past.
Just before the election, the Loyalist Communities Council, widely held to speak for the UDA, the UVF and the Red Hand Commando, issued a statement calling for every unionist to vote for 3 DUP candidates in Belfast: Nigel Dodds, Gavin Robinson and Emma Little-Pengelly. All 3 were elected. The DUP told Newsnight that the party had rejected the endorsement, and that applied to the 3 MPs. Did these MPs, did they say, no thank you, we don't want your help?
I think Emma Little-Pengelly actually posted something on Facebook just after the endorsement, where she certainly wasn't saying that that she welcomed it, but there was an implicit acceptance of it, where she was effectively saying that just because loyalists have a past doesn't mean they shouldn't have a future. She was, I suppose, giving a nod and a wink to those people that she accepted their endorsement. She wasn't going to walk away from it. Other DUP figures in other parts of Northern Ireland were not so happy with it, and we're very keen to get out there that really they had no truck with these people.
I want to thank the people of Togmona.
In her victory speech, Little Pengelly thanked specific loyalist areas in her seat, starting with Togmona, which so happens to be the home turf of UDA leader Jackie MacDonald.
It's an incredible day for unionism in South Belfast.
This is the future of Northern Ireland. Behind me there, they're putting together wind turbines, but we've just spoken to somebody whose words take you straight back to the past, to the Troubles. He's a Protestant who's been a victim of UDA violence, and he says the UDA and the DUP are far too close. He says he's seen with his own eyes the UDA get the vote out for the DUP. Would he tell us so on camera? No. Why not? Because he was afraid of what might happen to him after our interview was broadcast. In Northern Ireland, both sides in politics know people who have killed people. But only one side is going to keep Theresa May in power, and that may spell trouble.
We have just finished a meeting with the British Prime Minister and her Secretary of State, and we told her very directly that she was in breach of the Good Friday Agreement.
Will fringe elements of the IRA keep sitting on their hands? The bad news is that the marching season is about to start, and the nationalist hard man who secured peace, Martin McGuinness, is dead.
John Sweeney, well, Newsnight asked the DUP about the allegations in that film. A spokesperson said there can be no place for any paramilitary organisation in our society, and that it's easier for unnamed sources to make allegations than to present evidence for their claims. We asked for an interview with the 3 DUP MPs endorsed by the Loyalist Communities Council. They didn't respond.